The email arrived at 4:17 p.m. on a Friday. Corporate coward time. Hit send, then sprint to the parking garage before the victim processes the rage. Subject, VP. Promotion review Q4. Decision. I didn't open it right away. Let it sit there, bold and pulsing in my outlook. I'm Marcus Kane, 47 years old, and I've been dealing with corporate nonsense long enough to smell bad news through my monitor. Took a sip of my coffee. Black, no sugar, same as I've drunk since my Navy days. Looked around the open floor of Aerotech Solutions, our mid-sized aerospace software company in downtown Austin. To my left, the sales team played ping pong, celebrating some deal they probably structured wrong. To my right, marketing interns filmed another TikTok about aerospace innovation. 20 years I've been doing this job. 20 years as Senior Patent and Technology Licensing Specialist. That means I'm the guy who reads the 300-page contracts that the bros in sales sign without looking. I make sure we don't accidentally license our defense algorithms to shell companies in Belarus. I'm the guardrail on a highway full of drunk drivers. 6 years Navy taught me patience. You wait for the right shot. I clicked the email. Hi Marcus, thanks for your patience regarding the VP promotion review. Your technical expertise remains exceptional. However, due to current strategic realignment of Q4 budget allocations toward emerging talent initiatives, the VP position has been filled. We've selected someone with fresh perspectives on aerospace innovation. Let's revisit your career path next cycle. Best, Isabella Cross, HR Director. Fresh perspectives. Isabella was 32, daughter of our CEO Julian Cross, and had just given my job to her MBA buddy from UT. Some kid named Brad, who'd been here exactly 8 months and couldn't tell a patent from a parking ticket. This was the third year running. 2021, pandemic uncertainty. 2022, market volatility. 2023, strategic realignment. Meanwhile, Isabella had just approved a retention package for a junior developer who'd crashed our main server twice last month. I knew because I processed the liability waivers. I didn't scream, didn't type a nasty reply. I'm a professional. Something cold clicked in my brain. Clarity. They thought I was furniture, a reliable fixture they could ignore. They assumed that because I kept my head down, because I didn't wear startup hoodies and shout disruption every 5 minutes, that I had no leverage. These executives had more ego than brains. I looked at the sales team celebrating. They were high-fiving over the Lockheed Martin renewal, the crown jewel, a $75 million defense software contract. The deal that was going to make Aerotech a major player. The deal that paid for Julian's new Tesla and Isabella's corner office. It was also a deal I had written, not the PowerPoint slides or the handshakes. I wrote the actual contract. The master licensing agreement, the IP protection schedules, the 47-page addendum on royalty structures. I remembered that addendum vividly. Wrote it 4 years ago, late at night when the company was cash poor and desperate. Lockheed wanted equity we couldn't give them. So I crafted a performance-based royalty trigger. Complex stuff, buried in legal language that would make your eyes bleed if you didn't know what to look for. Like any good sailor, I always read the fine print. I stood up, my knees popped, reminder that I'm not 25 anymore. Walked past the ping pong table. Hey Marcus, smile man, one of the account guys yelled. It's Friday. I gave him a tight smile. Have a good weekend, Chad. Headed to the secure file room. Most things are digital now, but the original Lockheed contract with wet signatures stays in the fireproof safe. I had the access code. Course I did. I'm the only one who ever goes in there. The room smelled like ozone and old paper. I spun the combination lock. Click, click, clack. Pulled out the binder. 2 inches thick, navy blue, labeled Lockheed Martin Technology Licensing Agreement. Executed copy. Opened to page 38, clause 12B. Ran my finger over the text. Times New Roman, size 10. Small, unassuming, deadly. In the event that licensor, Aerotech Solutions, achieves 4 consecutive quarters of 99.97% system uptime while processing in excess of 8 terabytes of classified defense data. Licensor acknowledges that intellectual property rights, architect shall receive retroactive compensation of 0.7% of gross contract value, unless waived in writing by said architect. Bottom of the signature page, IP architect / lead patent specialist, Marcus Kane. I closed the binder. The silence in that room was heavy with potential energy. Budget allocations, I whispered to the filing cabinets. My promotion wasn't lost. It was right here, hiding in plain sight, earning compound interest for 4 years. I wasn't going to beg Isabella for another chance. I was going to teach them about reading the fine print. Slipped the binder into my laptop bag. Technically, removing original documents violates company policy. But then again, so does promotion discrimination based on age and cronyism. Spent the weekend in my home office, exact opposite of Aerotech Circus. Quiet, organized, no ping-pong tables. Just my espresso machine and my dog Rex, who judges everyone from his corner bed, had the contract. Now I needed the data. Clause 12B was a dormant trigger, relied on performance metrics. If the company sucked, the clause meant nothing. If we performed exceptionally well, the clause woke up and demanded to be fed. Logged into the admin dashboard. My access level is God tier. Not because I'm a hacker, because 5 years ago our CTO got tired of manually approving my audit requests and just gave me root access to everything. Probably forgot he did it. People forget a lot about the infrastructure guys. Pulled the uptime reports for the last 18 months. Q1 2023, 99.98% uptime. Q2 2023, 99.97% uptime. Q3 2023, 99.99% uptime. Q4 2023, 99.98% uptime. There, it was. 4 consecutive quarters above the threshold. Data processing volume, 12 terabytes, 15 terabytes, 18 terabytes, 22 terabytes, way over the 8 TB requirement. I sat back, monitor light reflecting off my glasses. The math was simple. 0.7% of $75 million over 5 years. That's $525,000, plus retroactive penalties for failure to notify, plus interest. We're looking at over $500,000. But it wasn't just money. It was the structure. I'd written Clause 12B as a poison pill, protection against hostile takeovers when we were a startup. Made the IP expensive if someone tried to steal it. But the current executive team, most hired after I wrote the contract, never bothered rereading legacy agreements. They treated Lockheed like a cash cow, milking it dry, oblivious that the fence around the pasture was electrified. Printed every log, built myself a fortress of documentation. Sunday night, sitting on my patio with a bourbon, watching Texas sunset paint the hills orange. Thought about Isabella and her budget allocations email. She'd tried to save the company maybe $30,000 a year by denying my promotion. Forced me to audit my own worth. Took out my phone. Called someone who'd appreciate the irony as much as I did. Called the enemy. Enemy's a strong word. In high-stakes contracts, opposing counsel isn't your enemy. They're your sparring partner. If you're both good, there's mutual respect. Dialed Diana Walsh, General Counsel for Lockheed Martin. Tough woman, sharp as a razor, negotiated treaties for defense contractors. She scared the daylights out of our executives. Marcus, her voice was gravel and expensive scotch. Sunday evening. Either your servers are down or someone's getting fired. Neither, Diana. Housekeeping. Reviewing the licensing agreement we executed 4 years ago, specifically the royalty addendum. Long pause. I could hear her shifting papers. Clause 12B, she asked. She knew. Course she knew. Good lawyers flag dangerous clauses. Clause 12B, I confirmed. Seems my company overlooked the notification requirements. Milestones were met 18 months ago. And they haven't paid you? Her voice dropped an octave. Not pity, predatory interest. Not a dime. In fact, just passed me over for VP. Again, Diana laughed. Dry, sharp sound. Marcus, that's extremely negligent. If they're in breach of payment terms to the IP architect, that compromises our DoD compliance shield. Technically, Aerotech is operating our systems without valid licensing. Technically, I agreed. Thought you might want to know before I file anything. Lunch tomorrow. That steakhouse on 6th Street. Noon. Monday morning, the restaurant was dark wood and leather, where deals get made in whispers. Diana was already there, martini untouched. You look like someone who knows where the bodies are buried, she said. I dug the graves, Diana. She cut straight to business. Had my team review the contract this morning. You're right. Clause 12B is bulletproof, actually brilliant. Who let you put that in there? Previous CEO was desperate to close, told me to add whatever safeguards necessary. And the current regime? Julian thinks IP law is something you Google. Diana smirked, tapped her finger on the table. Here's my situation. Lockheed pays Aerotech $15 million annually. We rely on your software for classified operations. If Aerotech is in breach of internal IP protocols, that creates liability exposure. If you sue and win an injunction, you could theoretically freeze the code. I don't want to hurt the product. I built it. Just want what the contract says is mine, and you want them to bleed a little. I sipped my water. Want them to understand that budget allocations isn't valid contract law. Diana slid a folder across the table. This isn't legal advice, but Lockheed takes compliance seriously. If we discovered a vendor failing to compensate its primary IP architect, we'd be forced to issue formal notice of inquiry. The folder contained a draft letter to Julian Cross. Urgent audit of IP compliance and royalty disbursements. Demanded proof that Clause 12B had been satisfied. Cited the exact milestones I'd printed. Requested response within 48 hours. If you send this, I said, Julian will panic. Good. They've been padding support invoices for months. I've been looking for leverage. Once you send this, there's no going back. They'll hunt for the leak. They'll suspect, but can't prove we spoke. And even if they could, retaliation against an employee asserting contractual rights? In Texas? Treble damages. Do it, I said. Didn't shake hands. Didn't need to. Two professionals who understood how the machine worked. Went back to the office that afternoon. Answered emails. Helped a junior associate with patent formatting, was helpful, pleasant. Watched Isabella walk past my desk in her designer heels, not even looking my way. Tuesday morning, 9:02 a.m. Office buzzing with usual caffeine chaos. Marketing arguing about font choices, sales ringing that stupid cowbell for a $500 subscription. Then the email hit. Didn't go to me directly. Went to Julian, the CFO Vincent Hayes, and General Counsel Lance Morrison. I monitored the network headers, saw the email from Lockheed Legal enter our server, flagged high priority. 9:15 a.m. Julian forwarded to Lance. Handle this, probably standard compliance spam. Don't let it slow down Q4 pipeline. 9:30 a.m. Lance forwarded to Vincent. They're asking about royalty structures. Do we have any? Just send generic financials. 9:45 a.m. Landed in my inbox, from Lance to me. Lockheed whining again. Marcus, they sent some formal nonsense about IP audit and Clause 12B. Sounds like legacy contract gibberish. Draft a standard compliance response. Don't spend too much time. I need you on the merger due diligence. Thanks, Lance. I stared at the screen. Had to bite my cheek to keep from laughing. They hadn't read it. Saw Clause 12B, didn't know what it was, and forwarded it to the one person who knew exactly what it was. They were asking the arsonist to investigate the smoke. Replied, Hi Lance, I'll log this in the compliance tracker. Need to cross-reference the original files with performance logs. Might take a few days to verify specific language. I'll keep you posted. Sure thing, take your time, Lance replied instantly. Take my time. I wasn't taking time. I was letting the clock run out. The Lockheed letter demanded response within 48 hours. Missed the deadline, they reserved the right to suspend payments pending investigation. Wednesday passed in surreal normalcy. Sat in meetings where Julian talked about valuing our people and technical excellence. Watched him present slides about our record uptime. We're unstoppable, Julian cheered. Lockheed is thrilled. They were thrilled with the performance, all right. Less thrilled about stealing from the architect of that performance. Thursday, 5 p.m. Deadline passed. I didn't send the response. Status in our system, pending legal review, awaiting executive authorization. The trap was set. Now we waited for the snap. Friday morning, 5:01 p.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Diana. Radio silence. Bold move. I replied, They think it's spam. Delegated it to me. Single emoji back. Popcorn. Weekend felt like holding your breath underwater. Lockheed froze payment Friday afternoon. Should have triggered alarms immediately, but Vincent left early for some networking thing in San Antonio. Accounts receivable saw the error, emailed Vincent, got his auto reply, decided it was Monday's problem. Saturday morning with my personal attorney, Rebecca Torres. Operates from a strip mall office next to a nail salon. Don't let the location fool you. Rebecca eats corporate lawyers for breakfast. Laid it all out. The binder, the emails, the promotion denial, the ignored Lockheed notices, notes from meetings where Vincent would order fraud. Rebecca read everything, face stone, finally looked up over her glasses. They are incredibly stupid. They're arrogant. Think rules are for other people. Rebecca smiled, teeth very white, very sharp. Rules are about to become expensive. She drafted a letter of representation. Do not send yet. Wait until Lockheed drops the hammer. Then, 10 minutes later, send this to HR. Freezes them. Can't fire you while you have active legal claim. Sunday night, couldn't sleep. Sat in my living room, staring at dark TV. Thought about the last 5 years. Late nights, weekends worked for free because we're family. Time I missed my nephew's graduation because servers crashed and I had to review emergency vendor contracts. Given them everything. They couldn't give me basic professional respect. Budget allocations, I whispered to the darkness. Wasn't about money anymore. About dignity. Monday, 8:45 a.m. All hands meeting in the main conference room. Julian stood at the front wearing an innovation t-shirt under a $3,000 blazer. This quarter looks incredible, Julian shouted into his headset mic. Lockheed expansion means 25% growth trajectory. Stood in back, leaning against the wall near the exit. Checked my watch. 8:52 a.m. Double doors opened. 2 men in dark suits walked in. Not tech, casual. Federal court formal. Behind them, Diana Walsh. Room quieted, confusion rippling from back to front. Julian stopped mid-sentence. Can I help you, gentlemen? Diana walked straight to the front. Voice didn't need amplification. Julian Cross? Yeah. Who are you? One suit stepped forward, handed Julian thick papers bound with metal clips. You're being served. Civil lawsuit for breach of contract, intellectual property theft, willful noncompliance. Plaintiff. Lockheed Martin Defense Systems. Dead silence. Could hear the coffee machine hissing. What is this? Julian laughed nervously. Is this a prank? Lance? Lance pushed to the front. Diana, what the hell? We had a deadline, Lance, expired Thursday. You failed to respond to formal audit notice. Per Clause 12B, Section 7, Lockheed is terminating for cause and seeking damages for unauthorized use of unlicensed IP. Terminating? Julian's face went chalk white. You can't terminate. That's $75 million, was $75 million. Now it's a lawsuit for $90 million, including treble damages for fraud detected during preliminary review. Fraud? Vincent squeaked from the side. We have reason to believe you suppressed known liabilities regarding IP architect royalties. Diana's eyes scanned the room, found me. Didn't wave, didn't smile, just adjusted my glasses. Diana looked back at Julian. Your license is revoked effective immediately, unless you can prove you've settled outstanding debts to the IP owner. Julian grabbed the papers, flipped them open. IP owner. We own the IP. Read page 38, clause 12B. You don't own it until you pay the royalty, and you haven't paid. Lance grabbed papers from Julian, scanned the page, saw the moment it hit him. His hands started shaking, paper rattled audibly. The promotion, Lance whispered. The VP position. He looked up, looked at the back of the room. Looked at me. Every head turned. 200 people followed Lance's gaze to where I stood by the exit. I didn't shrink, didn't look down, walked forward. Crowd parted like the Red Sea, walked right up to the front. Marcus, Julian asked, voice trembling, what is going on? I think, I said, voice calm and clear, my promotion just got found in legal. Pulled envelope from my jacket pocket. Rebecca's representation letter and whistleblower protection. Handed it to Lance. Believe this belongs to you. Turned to Diana. Shall we find a conference room? Seems we have negotiating to do. Diana smiled, shark-smelling blood. After you, Mr. Kane. We walked out together. Behind us, silence shattered into absolute chaos. 10 minutes later, boardroom. On one side, me and Diana. Other side, Julian, Vincent, Lance. In the middle, thick lawsuit papers and heavy silence. Julian looked ready to vomit. Marcus, look, we can fix this. VP position, retroactive. 15%, 20%. I laughed. Genuine laugh. Julian, we're way past 20%. We're talking Clause 12B. Do you know what that is? Some loophole you hid in the contract, Vincent yelled, sweating. Sabotage. Standard protection clause, Diana interjected smoothly. Your company signed it, triggered it, ignored notification. We didn't know, Lance pleaded. Marcus didn't tell us. I sent you Tuesday's email. Subject, Lockheed whining again. You told me to handle it, prioritize merger due diligence. You didn't read it. Here's the reality, Diana said, leaning forward. Aerotech owes Mr. Kane approximately $525,000 in back royalties plus interest. Furthermore, because you ordered staff to delete the liability flag, yes, we know, you're looking at personal liability for officers involved. Vincent went pale. Amanda's a good kid, I said. Leave her out. So what do you want? Julian asked, defeated. The money? Fine. We'll pay the $525,000. Just make the lawsuit go away. It's not just money, I said. It's structure. You proved you can't be trusted with IP. You tried defrauding the system's creator. Slid paper across table. Term sheet Rebecca and I drafted over the weekend. 1. Immediate payment of back royalties, $525,000 with interest. 2. Formal company apology for administrative errors. 3. Reinstatement of royalty clause with penalty multiplier. 4. My legal fees. 5. VP title with equity package. 6. Board seat on IP committee. 7. Full authority over technology licensing deals. Julian stared at the paper. This is a lot, Marcus. Cheaper than losing a $75 million client, Diana pointed out. Lockheed will only drop the breach suit if Mr. Kane signs satisfaction waiver. If he doesn't sign, we walk today. And one more thing, I added. They all looked up. Isabella gets reassigned to administrative efficiency projects, effective immediately. Room silent for a long minute. Julian slumped in his chair. Really looked at me for the first time in 5 years. Didn't see quiet guy in khakis anymore. Fine, Julian whispered. Done. Diana clicked her pen. Excellent. Settlement agreement right here. Watch them sign. Julian's hand trembled. Vincent looked like he was signing his death warrant. Lance just looked tired. When finished, I took the document. Thank you, I said. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. Apparently there's a compliance issue that got lost in legal. I need to fix it. Wire transfer hit Wednesday. $525,134.12. Stared at the number on my banking app. Looked like a phone number. Looked like freedom. But money was just the beginning. Real payment was the respect. Following week, changes started fast. Julian announced he was stepping back to focus on visionary strategy. Translation. Board heard about the near miss and put him in timeout. New CEO came from outside. Woman named Patricia Walsh, who'd run defense contracts for Boeing. First thing she did was call me into her office. Marcus, she said, leaning back in Julian's old chair. I've read the file. Impressive work. Also impressive restraint. You could have destroyed us. Wasn't the goal. Just wanted what was mine. Well, you've got it, plus some changes around here. She gestured at the window overlooking the open floor. No more ping pong during business hours. No more TikTok videos. We're running a defense contractor, not a startup fraternity. Vincent decided to pursue other opportunities. Escorted out Tuesday, carrying personal items to his BMW. Didn't look back. Word was that my first audit of his expenses turned up some very creative invoices for consulting fees paid to his brother-in-law's marketing firm. Isabella got reassigned to administrative efficiency optimization. Fancy way of saying career death. She sits in a windowless office now, processing expense reports. Her MBA buddy Brad lasted exactly 2 weeks before Patricia fired him for cultural misalignment. Lance remained, but he was a broken man. Sits behind closed doors, actually reading contracts now. Every time he sees me in the hallway, he nods respectfully and hurries away. Smart move. As for me, corner office with the hill country view. My title, Vice President of Strategic IP Compliance and Technology Governance. Salary jumped 40%. Equity package worth another $200,000. Board seat on the IP committee means I approve all major technology licensing deals. Hired Amanda Wells as my senior analyst. Smart kid deserved better than being Vincent's scapegoat. We have strict policy now. Read everything, flag everything, never ignore a red cell in any spreadsheet. Marcus, Amanda said one afternoon, reviewing a new vendor contract. This termination clause is brutal. Vendor can walk if we're late on any payment. Flag it. Send back with revision request. We don't sign suicide pacts. She grinned. Copy that, sir. Culture changed too. Ping pong table went to storage. Sales team learned to knock before entering my office. They learned that Marcus needs to sign off means you better have your paperwork perfect or find a new job. Patricia instituted monthly contract literacy training for all executives. Guess who runs those sessions? First meeting, I stood at the front of the conference room, looking at faces that used to ignore me. Rule 1, I said, clicking to my first slide. If you can't explain a contract clause to your grandmother, you don't understand it well enough to sign it. Rule 2, when in doubt, ask. Your ego isn't worth a lawsuit. Rule 3, the person who wrote it probably knows it better than you do. Murmurs of agreement. Amazing how respectful people get when you've just saved their jobs. Lockheed stayed, obviously. Contract got renewed with even better terms. Diana and I have lunch monthly now. Don't talk business much. Talk about bourbon, travel, the stupidity of people who think they can outsmart fine print. You know, Diana said over steaks one afternoon, I've been doing this for 20 years. Never seen anyone play a hand that perfectly. Navy taught me patience. Corporate taught me cruelty. She laughed. Deadly combination. 6 months later, got an email from Isabella. Subject, Annual Review Compensation Adjustment. Hi Marcus, just wanted to confirm your new compensation package has been fully processed by the board. No issues this time. All documentation filed correctly per your specifications. Best regards, Isabella Cross, Administrative Efficiency Coordinator. I smiled, took a sip of my coffee. The expensive imported stuff I now expense to the company under executive beverage allowance. Hit reply. Thanks, Isabella. Appreciate your attention to detail. Make sure you file it in the correct folder this time. Wouldn't want anything to get lost in legal again. Marcus. Closed my laptop. Sun was setting over Austin, casting long shadows across the glass buildings. Rex was waiting for his evening walk, judging me from his dog bed. Come on, boy, I said, grabbing his leash. Let's go celebrate another successful day of reading the fine print. My phone buzzed. Text from my nephew Jake. Uncle Marcus, heard about your promotion. Dad says you're some kind of corporate ninja now. Can you teach me your tricks? I typed back, Kid, here's the only trick you need. Always read what you're signing. Everything else is just patience and preparation. See you this weekend. Walking Rex through downtown Austin, I thought about that Friday afternoon email 8 months ago. Budget allocations. Such a simple lie. Such an expensive mistake. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. They're wrong. Revenge is a dish best served with ironclad legal documentation and a 48-hour deadline. I stopped at the corner, waiting for the light to change. Across the street, Aerotech's building glowed in the evening light. Top floor, corner office, my nameplate on the door, Vice President of Strategic IP Compliance and Technology Governance, had a nice ring to it. Rex tugged on his leash, eager to keep walking. Smart dog, always knows when it's time to move forward. You're right, boy, I said, scratching behind his ears. Let's go home. They say the devil's in the details. They're wrong. The devil's in the person who reads the details. And he just got the corner office.